Wading into War, Chapter 6. Lillian Saxton listed her address at the Rice Hotel, a large building in the heart of downtown that, if you looked at it from an airplane, resembled a capital E. She never told me where she was from, but her accent pegged her somewhere along the East Coast. Plus, with that Rice's price tag, I knew she was rich enough to afford it. Her room was on the 10th floor of the 17-story building. I rapped a knuckle on the door. "Hello, Mr. Wade." She held open the door to let me in and closed it behind us. She wore a swanky dress, belted at the waist and hitting just mid-shin. The pearls around her neck matched the earrings dangling from her ears. Her red hair was bundled behind her head with 2 locks flowing down onto her shoulders. In a word, she was stunning. "Going somewhere, Miss Saxton?" I asked. "I was about to head downstairs to the Empire Room and have dinner. Care to join me?" "It's a little too rich for my blood." "Then I'll add it to your expense account. And please, call me Lillian." She glided across the carpeted floor. The only sound was the swish of her dress as it moved across her long legs. I gulped and sat in one of the cushioned chairs. She picked up a cocktail shaker, sweating with condensation, and gave it a few jerks. The sound of the clanking ice was jarring in the silent room. She poured out 2 martinis and returned, handing me one. Ice crystals floated in the clear liquid. She sipped her drink. "What did you want to talk about?" I downed half the drink in one gulp, letting the gin's vapor wash away the bad taste in my mouth. "I found Rosenblatt." Her eyes widened with expectation. "Where?" "My leads took me to a house on Oak Street. It was a strange place to find a man who didn't live in Houston. But it turns out that Rosenblatt had an old college buddy who lives here in town. That buddy's away on vacation right now, so Rosenblatt used the house as a place to hide." "Did you find anything?" She sipped her drink, her ruby red lips pursing over the rim of the glass. Odd that she didn't ask about Rosenblatt himself. "I didn't have a chance to look because someone was already there." Her eyes widened. "Yeah. And then the cops showed up." "So he's where? At the station?" I looked at her flatly. "At the morgue." She gasped, losing her confidence for the moment. She put her glass down and collapsed onto the sofa. Trembling fingers reached out and withdrew a cigarette from her silver case. Seeing her distress, I provided the flame from my lighter and then lit one myself. "How?" she started, but then faltered. "Some lug shot him," I said, pausing for effect, just before he tried to do the same for me. She whirled toward me. "Are you okay?" I gave her a lopsided grin. "I still have the same number of holes in me that I had this morning, but having someone shoot at you clears the mind, you know." And it got me to thinking, who else might want Rosenblatt and the information he has? I let the question linger in the silence. Which leads me to another question. What exactly does he have? She inhaled deeply and slowly blew the smoke out of her nose. Holding the cigarette near her ear, she studied me. Having been in staring contests with defense attorneys in courtroom settings, I could hold my own in that regard. Lillian Saxton could easily have won that battle as well, so I did my best to remain stoic. I almost failed. "I hired him." "To do what?" Another inhale and exhale. "To find my brother, Samuel." I raised an eyebrow. "And where is your brother?" "If I knew that," she snapped, "I wouldn't have hired Wendell." The use of Rosenblatt's first name gave me some new context. "You know what I mean. The manifest listed Barcelona as the ship's departure point. Your brother is missing in Europe?" The image of the war over there set my imagination racing. "Yes. Wendell sent me a wire saying he'd found out new information on Samuel's whereabouts. He told me it was unsafe to let me know, even over the phone. So he was going to deliver the information personally." I sat up. "And what were you planning on doing with this information?" She looked at me as if I were from Mars. "Get him out." "Of?" Germany. Whole realms of possibilities opened up in my mind. I had the distinct feeling you get when you jump off a high dive and plunge into 12 feet of water. What had I gotten myself into? A knock sounded at the door. Our eyes met, hers filled with concern. Mine probably showed defense. "Expecting anyone?" I whispered. She shook her head. The knock sounded again, louder and more insistent.